Hey everybody, it's Rob. I'm back. We're going to do another TryHackMe machine. This time we're doing a machine called All-in-One. It is a Linux box, is rated as easy, and I didn't think it was too bad. So without further ado, you can see I am connected to TryHackMe's VPN, and I do have All-in-One spun up, and here's the IP address. Now, the first thing we do as always is we ran an mmap scan, surface version detection, T4 on all ports, aggressive, and 21, 22, and 80 came back. 21 I messed around with. It has anonymous access enabled. There was nothing there. I did some cursory searching for a VSFTP exploit, and I didn't find anything. Uh, I'm sure there's multiple ways to get onto this box, so it might be something you want to investigate further. But I didn't waste too much time. I went right back to the website, and it's the default Ubuntu. It's installed working page. First thing you should always do when you see that is do some go busting, and we did that. And you can see go busting. We did go buster on the URL, and we used the derby common.txt, and WordPress came back. So that means that if we go to the IP address and we tack on WordPress, it takes us to the blog all in one. Now we know there's at least one user here, Eliana, and I'm assuming there's a WP admin login page and all of that stuff. So in the interest of time, what we're going to do is we're going to do two WordPress scans. And the first one is just going to be a standard scan. And I encourage you to run one of those for sure, because it gives you a little bit different information from the enumerate user one. And these don't take very long. So you can see there's a couple of themes installed and a couple of plugins, Mailmaster and Reflex Gallery. Now we're going to run a second one that's going to enumerate any additional users. So all we did was we tacked on enumerate you at the end of that original scan. And it only came back with Eliana. Now, I did try and brute force her password with the WordPress scan, and I wasn't successful. I used several smaller lists, and then I started to use RockU, but it was taking way too long, and I didn't get any hits. And I tried several lists. So the only other thing I could think to do at that point was to start to see if I could attack the plugins or the themes. So the first thing that I tried was a search exploit, because it's got such a unique name, Masta. I typed it in, and there's at least a local file inclusion and a SQL injection vulnerability out there. But what I decided to do was do a web search on it. And I found this. This is Polandrius, his GitHub repository. It's based on CVE 2016-10956. It's a really cool plugin, Python script. What it does is it allows you to brute force and search if a file exists on a machine, but you can also read remote files. And if it can read the remote file, it creates a loot folder with the contents of all of those files in there. So we're going to try this one out. We're just going to go to this CVE. We're going to download it. Okay. We're going to open up our folders here. We're going to go to Downloads, drop this in the Kali folder, and then we're going to create a new folder called CVE 2016-10956. And we're doing this because you'll see once we look at the code, this is going to require Python virtual environment, as most of these exploits do, because of rich and probably requests and probably rich. So what we're going to do, open a terminal here, and we're going to Python 3 venv.venv. Then we're going to go into our virtual environment and bin pip install requests. Then we're going to install rich. And I just know this because looking at enough of these exploits that those two are not going to probably be there. You could just try and run the exploit. It'll tell you what modules are missing, and then you can just do it that way. Or you could potentially git clone the library, and if there's a requirements.txt I didn't even notice, you can just install it via that. So now we should be able to run this exploit. So we're going to do exactly what his example does, which is try to read the password file. Let's see which one it was. Right here. Read a specific remote file. So we're going to try that right now. Copy. We're going to try and read the password file. So paste clipboard. We're going to run it. And that green plus sign is a good sign. If we open up the folder now, we see the loot folder has been created, and we have Etsy, and we have passwd. So we can open that with mousepad. There it is. Nothing earth-shattering in there. And the bad news is I tried to read the shadow file to see if I can get hashes. No go. So unfortunately, we're going to have to think of a better way to take advantage of this machine with this tool. And the first thing I thought about was the WordPress config file, because that sometimes has passwords in it. So if you look in the AI summary here, we know what the file is called. It's wp-config.php, and it's typically located in the root directory of your WordPress installation. Now, most websites are installed in var www HTML. So if you add WordPress to that, that's where the file should be. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to this folder. I'm going to clear the screen so that it's up at the top. And then we're going to try it out. Try and get the WordPress config folder. File. Copy. Paste. So same thing. Here's the path that you need to use. Like I said, everything's usually installed in this folder that's internet-based. Running on a web server, and then we know there's a WordPress folder where the WordPress blog is, so that is the root of the WordPress installation. So let's hit enter. That's a good sign. So we go into loot. We now have a var folder, www, HTML, WordPress. There's the WP config. If we open that in mousepad, as suspected, there is a password in there. Now, I did try to log in. Oops, I messed that up. Undo. I did try to log in with this password via SSH, and it didn't work. So I'm going to try and log into the WordPress blog with this. Copy. So if we come back to the WordPress blog, and now we type in WP admin, should take us to a login page. We know the user is Eliana, and we're going to try this new password we just got, which is that, and we're going to try and log in. Not now. That's a good sign. And as the case with most of these machines that are running WordPress, they're pretty slow, so this may take a minute. And I'll pause the video till we get logged in. Okay, we're logged in. So there's a couple of ways that you could exploit this. I thought of many ways that you could do it, as embed things in posts, plugins, themes. Last time I used a cool plugin that added a sidebar item for a reverse shell, and you could just type in your IP address and port and set up a listener, and it would connect back to you. This time I tried to search for a different plugin, and what I did was I found this one, and it's a little crude, but it works well. It essentially, it's actually right here, this one. It's called WordPwn. It uses a Metasploit handler, so it will automatically start a Metasploit handler for you. It will create a malicious zip file for the plugin. You upload the plugin to the blog, and then you have to visit some very specific sites. And it's one of these two. I believe it might be QWERTY Rocks or Wetwork. I'm not sure. This one down here is for the web web shell, which we're not going to be using. Now, let's take a look at what this code looks like, and we'll give it a whirl. So let's download it. WordPwn. We'll download it. Okay. We'll go to our Kali documents, downloads. Okay, so why don't we create a folder called WordPwn? That's what I got right there. We'll go to downloads, drag it to Kali, drag it to WordPwn. Now, let's take a look at the code. Open mousepad, and again, uses requests, so another Python virtual environment. This is actually pretty simple. It does a lot for a very short amount of code. All right, so let's close this, open a terminal here. We need to create a virtual environment. We need to env bin pip install requests. Okay. And now what we need to do is we need to provide just a couple of arguments. We need to provide our machine and the port that we want to listen on, and whether or not we want it to start a Metasploit handler. So I'm just going to have it start the handler. I figure why not, and see what happens from there. So let's do that. Let's try and run this thing. We'll do env bin Python 3 WordPwn, and then my IP address is 10.6.14.101, and we'll do 4444, and yes, we'll use a handler. Now, when I hit enter, you should see it start a handler here, and we should also have a malicious zip file created in the folder that we need to upload to the WordPress blog. So let's see what happens. Generating payload, launching handler, starting Metasploit framework. Started reverse handler, TCP handler. So let's see what happens. We should have, yep, we have the malicious zip here. So now what we need to do is to go back to the blog. We go to plugins, add new. It's probably going to fail. And I'm going to pause the video until it does. Okay, so we're going to click add new. And I'm going to pause. Okay, it took forever to fail, as I suspected it would. Now, all you have to do when you get this fail is you just click upload plugin, you browse, and then we go to documents, let's see, home, WordPwn. We have the malicious zip. We're going to open it, and we're going to install now. And then I'm going to pause. Okay, so it says it installed them. So let's let's activate the plugin and see what happens. And while we wait for that, I'm going to pause. Okay, that took forever. So I just ended up having to go back to install plugins, and you can see Got 'em and Got Y'all have been installed. Now I believe Got Y'all is the web one, so we're just going to activate Got 'em. And while we're doing that, I'm going to bring up this reverse handler window. And pause while we wait for the plugin to activate. Okay, it activated. So I'm going to see if we can, I don't know why my mouse is jacked up like that, but we're going to see if we can open link. Let's copy and open another one. Paste and go. We have to modify it. Paste. WordPress. Oh, sending the stage. That was the right one. So we have a interpreter shell. So basically what you have to do is you have to go to this, you got not got y'all. Got y'all would be one of these other ones. Got is this one right here. And you visit this web page and you get the shell. So we do get UID. We're dub data. Okay. So let's see, what can we do here? I did all of the normal Linux stuff like history. We do sudo. Let's do a shell. Let's see what happens. Okay. Oh. There we go. Okay. Sudo tac L. Let's see if we can improve our shell at all. And let's try sudo tac L again. No, no good there because it's asking for a password, so that's bad. Let's see if we can go to home. ls. We have Eliana and Ubuntu, so let's cd Eliana ls. Ooh, user.txt, so let's see cat user.txt. Permission denied. How about cat hint.txt? Eliana's user password is hidden in the system. Find it. Okay, so you have a couple of options here. You could run linps to see if you can find it. What I did was I started to look for like things named password and honestly text files. Like if you want to search for a text file, what I would do is this, copy. Oh, and the other thing that I would encourage you to do, cron tab. Let's see, cat etsy cron tab. I saw that var backup script. There's nothing we can do with that. It's owned by I'll show you actually. So if we go cd var backups and we do an ls and we cat script.shell, just a test script, right? And if we do an ls ail, it's owned by root, but it doesn't have the sticky bit on, so it means it doesn't execute as the owner. If it executed as the owner, root, we'd be able to do something with that script. But I spent a little bit of time messing with that, but ultimately that was a dead end for me. The way I found what I was looking for, and you would definitely find this with linps as well, is I did this. I looked for anything star.txt and sent anything that wasn't that to dev.null. So if you do that, there's really, you would think there was a lot of text files, but there really isn't. Like I can see all of that is useless. useless, useless, all get release notes. Here we go, right here. Etsy MySQL confd private.txt. So if you would have searched for, like, for example, this and just renamed this private.star, password.star, that's another way you would have been able to find this. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to see if we can cat that file. And there's a private, so let's see what we can do. Cat Etsy MySQL conf.d private.txt. And there it is right there. Here's her password. So copy selection, and then let's do switch user Eliana. Paste clipboard. Okay, now we can go to CD home, ls, CD Eliana, cat user .txt. Here's the user flag. Now, what's the first thing we do is history. Oh wow, I didn't even, wow, this is the first time I've ever seen actual stuff. So if you would have done history, as I didn't do history as the www, but I don't know. But look at all of this. It's the first time I've ever seen that much output from the history command. So I'm sorry if I'm a little stunned. But the next thing I did was sudo tacl, obviously. And she can run socat on this machine with no password. So of course, what we're going to do is we're going to open up a browser window, and we're going to open up GTFOBins, and we're going to type in socat, and we'll click on that, and we'll look for sudo, and it looks pretty simple. All we got to do is basically run the command with sudo and execute bin bash. So let's see what happens. Paste clipboard, bin bash I, and we're root. CD root cat root.txt. Oops, what happened? Paste clipboard. Okay. CD root ls cat root.txt. So I must have reverted my shell when I executed bin bash again. But there's the root flag. Machine was very kludgy, very slow. Fun machine though, so I enjoyed it. So just to recap, what we did was we ran an mmap scan. We found out that 80, 21, 22, did some research on 21, nothing going on there. So we went to 80, did some dir busting with GoBuster, found a WordPress blog, ran some WP scans, found out there was only one user, but there were a bunch of plugins and themes. So we did a search on one of the plugins, found out that it was exploitable. We used an exploit that we found to read the wp-config.php and get a password. We were able to log into the blog with that password. Then we were able to find another exploit that installed a plugin that would open up a Meterpreter's Metasploit handler, and we were able to get a Meterpreter shell when we activated that plugin and visited a specified URL. Once we were on the machine, we found that a hint file that told us her password, Eliana's, was on the system. So we did some searching around using find, found a private.txt hidden in the MySQL config folder, used Eliana's account to log in. We're able to find out that she had sudo no password for SOCAT, went to GTFOBins and exploited SOCAT using the recommended way to do that on the website. Got the root flag after we were able to escalate our privileges. So fun machine. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the comments below. I'll make sure that all of the links that I used in this video are in the description below. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.